The Nazis feared these women more than tanks. This is the terrifying story of the night witches of World War II. When you think of World War II, you might picture men in tanks and pilots in big metal planes. But did you know there was a group of Soviet female pilots who struck fear into the hearts of the German army? They flew wooden planes at night, cut their engines mid-air, and dropped bombs silently from above. The Germans called them the Night Witches. And despite being outnumbered and outgunned, these women took their revenge on the Nazi war machine. But who were they, and how did they become the most feared pilots in the sky? It all started when Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. At first, the Soviets weren't prepared for the German attack, and things didn't look good. But they had a secret weapon, an army of female pilots who would go on to become the Night Witches. These women were trained to fly Polikarpov Po-2 aircraft, which were small, slow, and most importantly, made of wood. This made them almost invisible to the Germans. But that wasn't the only trick these planes had up their sleeves. The Night Witches would fly their planes at night, which gave them the element of surprise. They would sneak up on German positions and then cut their engines just before dropping their bombs. This meant that the bombs fell silently from above, making it almost impossible for the Germans to hear them coming. When the bombs exploded, they were so precise that they often took out entire squads of German soldiers. And because these women were flying wooden planes, they were able to get much closer to their targets than any other Soviet aircraft. Despite the danger, these women were fearless. They flew through anti-aircraft fire and dogfights with German planes. And even if their plane was damaged, they would continue flying until they had dropped their bombs. Sometimes they had to make multiple runs, dropping their bombs one at a time until the target was destroyed. The German soldiers had no idea what was happening. One minute they would be relaxing in their positions, and the next they would be blown to bits. It was like something out of a nightmare. And as the war went on, the Night Witches became more and more daring. They started flying at lower altitudes, which made their bombs even more deadly. And they also started targeting high-value German assets. They took out supply convoys, troop transports, and even German aircraft. And all the while, the Germans had no idea who was behind these attacks. They called the Night Witches she-wolves and night hags, but they never figured out that it was women who were haunting their nightmares. As the war drew to a close, the Night Witches flew their final missions. They had helped to turn the tide of the war in the Soviet Union and had struck terror into the hearts of the German army. But their story didn't end there. After the war, some of the Night Witches became famous. They gave interviews and wrote books about their experiences. But many others went back to their old lives. They got married, had children, and lived out their days in the Soviet Union. Their story was kept secret for decades. But in recent years, more and more has been revealed about these brave women. And we can now watch the exploits of the Night Witches. Not only were these women heroes of the Soviet Union, they were also victims of war. They lost friends and family members in the fighting, and they saw the horrors of war firsthand. But they never gave up. They continued flying their wooden planes into the night, dropping their bombs and disappearing into the darkness. They were the Night Witches, and they were the stuff of nightmares. If you want to learn more about the Night Witches, check out the book, Night Witches, The True Story of the Women Who Terrorized Hitler's Army, by author and historian Angela Unstenden. This book is a thrilling and inspiring account of these brave women and their incredible story. So if you're looking for a good read that will leave you in awe, I highly recommend Night Witches. And if you want to learn more about World War II or other historical events, stay tuned for more videos. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.